The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest, as I stood in my mother's small guest house, sorting through her medical bills. It had been months since my mom, Ellen, passed, but some days, the grief was so raw it felt like yesterday. My name's Sarah Mitchell. I'm 29, a freelance illustrator barely making ends meet. I loved my mom fiercely, even though I often felt like a shadow in her life, eclipsed by my older sister, Jessica. Mom doted on Jessica, always excusing her selfishness, while I quietly held things together. But when I found out what Jessica did to Mom in her final months, it wasn't just betrayal. It was a theft of everything Mom stood for. "You're always so dramatic, Sarah," Jessica had sneered one day, lounging in her pristine living room while I packed Mom's belongings to move her into Jessica's unused guest house. "I'm giving her a place to live. What more do you want?" My hands tightened around a box. "She's our mom, Jessica, not a tenant. She's sick, and you're charging her rent for a shed you don't even use." Jessica rolled her eyes. "She's lucky to have this. Most people would kill for a setup like this." Lucky? The word burned. I wanted to scream, but I swallowed it, like always. This is a story of love, loss, and a truth that changed everything. Stick with me, because if you've ever felt invisible while someone else took the spotlight, you'll understand this fight, and the ending will show you what it means to find your voice through someone else's courage. Mom's diagnosis came like a thunderclap: lymphoma, 6 months to a year. I called Jessica that night, my voice shaking. "It's bad, Jess. The doctor said she doesn't have long." Her response was flat, almost bored. "That's rough. At least she's got the guest house, right?" I gripped the phone, stunned. "She's dying, Jessica. Can you at least act like you care?" She sighed, sharp and impatient. "What do you want me to do, Sarah? Quit my job to hold her hand? I've got a life." "Maybe show up for her," I snapped. "Take her to an appointment, spend time with her, anything." "I'm doing enough," she said, her voice cold. "Don't make this about you." I hung up, my hands trembling. Jessica had always been the golden child, married to a smug lawyer named Tom, living in a house that screamed status. Mom adored her, blind to her flaws, while I was the one driving Mom to chemo, cooking her meals, and listening to her fears. I didn't mind, not really. Mom was my world, but Jessica's indifference stung. As Mom's health worsened, she grew too weak to manage her finances. Jessica, claiming it was easier, took over Mom's bank account and bills. I hesitated, but Mom trusted her, so I let it slide, hoping Jessica would finally step up. I was wrong. One afternoon, Mom's voice, frail but warm, stopped me as I tucked a blanket around her. "Sarah, honey, can you check my bank account? I'm worried about my meds and groceries." Her eyes were anxious and my heart sank. "Of course, Mom," I said, forcing a smile. "I'll go today." At the bank, the teller handed me the account summary, and the world tilted. Mom's savings, $12,000 from selling her car, her safety net, were gone. One massive withdrawal, dated weeks earlier, stood out like a wound. Jessica Reynolds. My hands shook as I stared at the paper. It couldn't be right. Jessica wouldn't. But the evidence was undeniable. I stepped outside, the chilly air biting my face, and called her, my voice low with fury. "Jessica, why did you take all of Mom's money?" Her tone was casual, like I'd asked about the weather. "Relax, Sarah, it's not a big deal." "Not a big deal?" I nearly shouted. "Her account's empty, Jessica. That was her savings, and your name's on the withdrawal." She sighed, annoyed. "It's a loan, okay? Tom and I needed it for some home repairs. I'll pay it back in a few months. Mom doesn't need it right now." "A loan?" I choked. Out, pacing the sidewalk. "You didn't ask her. She's sick, Jessica. She's worried about buying groceries." "Don't be so dramatic," she snapped. "She won't find out, and you're not going to tell her. It'll only stress her out. I'm handling it." "Handling it?" I said, my voice breaking. "You're stealing from her while I'm scraping by to keep her fed. How dare you?" "You're making this bigger than it is," she hissed. "If you care about Mom, you'll keep your mouth shut. She doesn't need this right now. She hung up and I stood there, cars blurring past, my heart pounding. Tell Mom and break her heart, or stay silent and let Jessica's betrayal fester. I felt trapped. That night, I called my best friend Claire, spilling everything. She took everything, Claire, and she's acting like I'm the problem for caring. Claire's voice was steady but furious. Sarah, she's counting on you to stay quiet because you're the nice one. You can't let her get away with this. But if I tell Mom, it'll crush her, I said, sinking onto my couch. Jessica knows that. She's using it against me. She's a coward, Claire said. You need to hold her accountable. Sarah, if not for you, for Mom. Her words stuck, but doubt gnawed at me. Jessica never listened, and Tom, her husband, was just as bad, always backing her up, smirking like he was above us all. I remembered when Mom moved into their guest house, how they'd acted like saints for helping, even charging her rent. The thought of confronting them felt like walking into a lion's den. Days later, I was at Mom's, sorting her pill bottles, when Jessica and Tom strolled in, all smiles. Jessica held up a cheap bouquet. Thought these would cheer the place up, she said, handing them to Mom. Mom's face lit up. Oh, Jessica, you're so sweet. I bit my lip, hard, as Tom chimed in. You're lucky to have Jess, Ellen. She's always thinking of you. My hands froze on the pill bottle. Lucky? She'd stolen Mom's life savings, and they were playing heroes. I wanted to scream, but Mom's frail smile stopped me. Instead, I muttered, I've got to run, an errand, and bolted for the door. Outside, Jessica's voice followed, low and mocking. Always so dramatic, Sarah. The words burned, but I kept walking, my resolve hardening. I couldn't let this go. The next day, I saw Jessica stepping out of a high-end boutique, arms full of shopping bags, Tom holding the door like her personal butler. My blood boiled. Mom was rationing her groceries, and here was Jessica, spending like a queen. I marched up, voice sharp. Jessica, what are you doing? Spending Mom's money on designer clothes? Her smile faltered, but she recovered fast. Don't be ridiculous, Sarah. This is my money. Tom and I work hard, unlike some people. Tom smirked. Careful, Sarah. Jealousy's not a good look. Jealous? I laughed, bitter. I'm disgusted. You drained Mom's account, and now you're flaunting this? How do you live with yourself? Jessica stepped closer, her voice low. It's a loan, and if you care about Mom, you'll drop it. You want her to worry in her final days? Tell her, and you'll break her heart. I stood there, fists clenched. As they walked away, their laughter echoing. Her threat hit hard, but it also lit a fire. Jessica thought she'd silenced me, but she just made me more determined. Mom's health declined faster than we expected. She grew weaker, her smiles rarer, her voice a whisper. I spent every moment I could with her, but the secret of Jessica's betrayal weighed like a stone. I couldn't tell her. Not yet. 1 day, Claire noticed I was unraveling. Sarah, you're killing yourself, she said. You need a break. Go to that art class you love, just for an hour. I hesitated, but Mom was stable, and Jessica was supposed to be around. I went, sketching. In silence, my phone on mute. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of peace. But when I checked my phone after, my heart stopped. 7 missed calls from Jessica. Her voicemail was a knife. Sarah, it's Mom. She's gone. Where were you? You should have been here. I don't remember driving home. My legs shook as I stumbled into the guest house. Jessica sat on the couch, eyes red but her voice cold. She stopped breathing. I was here, but you were off painting. The guilt was crushing. I'd been gone for an hour, and Mom had slipped away without me. You should have been here, Jessica repeated, her words slicing. I couldn't speak, tears streaming, as I sank to the floor. Mom was gone, and I hadn't said goodbye. The funeral was a blur of gray skies and hushed voices, held at Mom's beloved church, its stained glass windows casting soft light. I clutched a photo of her, my heart heavy with grief and guilt. Jessica and Tom arrived late, sweeping in like they owned the place. Jessica in a sleek black dress, Tom in a tailored suit. Whispers followed them, and I caught fragments. Sarah. Wasn't there when Ellen passed? Jessica said she was at some art class. My stomach twisted. Jessica had spread the story, painting me as the selfish daughter who'd abandoned Mom. She slid into the pew beside me, her voice syrupy. You okay, Sarah? I know it's hard not being there for her. I stared ahead, refusing to engage. But her words stung. The priest's eulogy was warm, praising Mom's kindness, her faith, her love for us. I clung to his words, trying to block out the whispers, but then he paused, holding up an envelope. Ellen left a letter, he said, his voice solemn. She asked me to read it today, her final wish. The church went silent, every eye on the priest as he opened the letter. My breath caught. Jessica shifted, her face tight. The priest began. To everyone here, thank you for celebrating my life. I lived with love and faith, and though it wasn't easy, I leave with gratitude. But there's a truth I must share, one that weighs heavily. My heart pounded as he continued. Forgiveness is my belief, but it doesn't hide the truth. In my final months, I faced a betrayal that broke my heart. Jessica, my eldest, I trusted you with my care, my home, my savings. But you took advantage of that trust in ways no mother should endure. Gasps rippled through the church. Jessica's face drained of color, her hands gripping the pew. Tom's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. You took my savings, the money from my car, leaving me with nothing, the priest read. Sarah, who gave everything to care for me, knew but protected me to spare my pain. God bless you, Sarah, for your heart. Jessica, I knew, but I stayed silent to avoid more hurt. But the truth must be known. Tears streamed down my face. Mom knew. All my guilt, my fear of breaking her heart. She'd carried that burden herself, shielding me even in her final days. The church was still, the weight of Mom's words sinking in. Jessica stood, her chair scraping. This is absurd, she hissed, voice shaking. She was sick, confused. I did everything for her. Whispers grew louder, eyes turning to her with disdain. Tom tried to pull her down, but she yanked free. You don't understand, she shouted. I was under pressure. That money was for the house, for us. Enough, the priest said, his voice firm. Your mother's words stand. Jessica glared at me, her eyes blazing. You're happy now, aren't you? She spat, then stormed out, Tom trailing behind. The doors slammed, echoing in the silence. As the service ended, people approached me, their condolences now laced with respect. Your mom was proud of you, one said. Claire hugged me, whispering, She saw you, Sarah. She always did. I nodded, tears falling. Mom's letter had lifted a veil, exposing Jessica and freeing me from the guilt I'd carried. That night, in my quiet apartment, I held Mom's photo, whispering, Thank you. Her love had outshone Jessica's betrayal, giving me peace I hadn't felt in months. Jessica and Tom faded from my life, their reputations shattered. I heard they moved, dodging the fallout. I kept illustrating, pouring my grief into my art. Months later, I rented a small studio space, a place to create and teach, just as Mom would have wanted. Jessica thought she'd broken us, but Mom's truth, her final gift, set me free. Standing in my studio, surrounded by sketches and light, I felt her with me, her love stronger than any lie.